Hi everyone. So we are live now. I welcome you all, and I am extremely sorry for these delays. I accept mistake from our end with folded hands. I know you were very eager to get the answer की लोग comment कर रहे हैं कि जल्दी आइए. But you can understand कि
Hi everyone, so we are live now. I welcome you all, and
I just need to close
I'm
this.
extremely sorry for these delays. I
ये sound आ रही है यहाँ पे.
accept mistake from our end with folded hands. I know you were very eager to.
Fine. But what I was saying is that you can understand कि यार पेपर बहुत टफ था. क्वेश्चन लाने में, ऑप्शंस बनाने में बहुत टाइम लगा, और अभी भी मैं ये सेशन शुरू करने से पहले यही बताना चाहूंगा, बस थोड़ा सा टाइम लूंगा, कि दिस आंसर की आप जानते हैं कि इज बेस्ड ऑन मेमोरी बेस्ड पेपर. The questions might not have exact language, the options might not be exact, it might not be able to capture the actual intent of the paper. बट फिर भी हमने अपना पूरा ट्राई किया है. हमारे कुछ क्वेश्चंस शायद पेपर में जो आए होंगे उनसे लैंग्वेज डिफरेंट होगी, ऑप्शंस डिफरेंट होंगे, दैट माइट गिव यू काइंड ऑफ फीलिंग ऑफ बीइंग एंग्री एट योर साइड, बट ट्रस्ट अस कि इस टाइम पे इससे बेटर करना बहुत मुश्किल है. और हम चाहते तो 3 दिन 4 दिन बाद भी आ सकते थे, बट दैट वुड नॉट हैव मेड सेंस. हमने पूरा ट्राई किया है टू बी एज एक्यूरेट एज पॉसिबल. अगर आपको लगता है कि कहीं पे डेविएशन है, प्लीज लेट अस नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन, बट नॉट इन अ डेरोगेटरी वे. लेट्स वर्क टुगेदर इन अ कोऑपरेटिव मैनर, इन अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री मैनर. तो आंसर की शुरू करते हैं विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी टाइम. थोड़ा सा एनालिसिस देता हूं मैं यहाँ पे. तो पेपर तो बहुत टफ था जी, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. अकाउंट्स में आप देखिए यार, क्वेश्चंस आए हैं इनकम टैक्स और जीएसटी पे, ऊपर से गए हैं. मतलब ऐसा कोई कर नहीं सकता था अगर कोई प्रैक्टिशनर नहीं है ना. सीए ही शायद कोई कर पाएगा. इकोनॉमिक्स में काफी टफ न्यूमेरिकल आए हैं, मल्टीप्लायर वगैरह के, मनी मल्टीप्लायर के. कंपनी लॉ इजी था, बट क्वेश्चंस कम आए, वहां पे ये गूगली हो गई. अकाउंट्स में आप देखिए वो S10 वाला जो स्कोप वाला क्वेश्चन है. तो लास्ट ईयर के कंपैरिजन में पेपर वाज वेरी टफ. लास्ट ईयर इट वाज हलवा. हलवा भी मैं बोलूंगा कि एक बहुत ही बेसिक वर्ड है लास्ट ईयर के पेपर के लिए, अगर हम उसको इससे कंपेयर करें. तो पेपर बहुत टफ था. आपके क्वेश्चन गलत हुए होंगे, डोंट बी एंशियस, कट ऑफ कम जाने वाली है, दैट इज फॉर श्योर. तो थोड़ा सा एनालिसिस अगर मैं आपको बताऊं, हमारे पास अभी तक टोटल 100 क्वेश्चन नहीं आए जी, ठीक है. और उसको अगर हम आज कलेक्ट करते रहते तो शायद रात हो जाती. तो हम 81 क्वेश्चंस की आंसर की आपको प्रेजेंट करने वाले हैं. 81 क्वेश्चंस को जो हमने एनालाइज किया है, कॉस्टिंग के 15 क्वेश्चन है, मैनेजमेंट के 16, अकाउंट्स के 11, कंपनीज एक्ट के 8, फाइनेंस के 21, इकोनॉमिक्स के 10. तो फाइनेंस का थोड़ा सा प्लस प्लस वेटेज गया इस साल, थैंक्स टू जीएसटी एंड इनकम टैक्स. कंपनीज एक्ट का कम वेटेज है भाई, यहाँ पे मतलब 16 क्वेश्चन आने चाहिए थे, शायद इस मिसिंग 19 में से कुछ यहाँ पे आ जाए, बट स्टिल आई वुड से द वेटेज इज लेस. बाकी मैनेजमेंट कॉस्टिंग इज फाइन. इकोनॉमिक्स का भी वेटेज लेस लग रहा है, और पेपर बहुत मुश्किल आया, तो उस हिसाब से तो अच्छा ही हुआ कम क्वेश्चन आए, नहीं तो और पिट जाते हैं हम. तो थोड़ा सा एनालिसिस है, पेपर इतना बैलेंस नहीं लग रहा है, खास करके कंपनीज एक्ट और इकोनॉमिक्स में. थोड़े से शायद क्वेश्चन जो बचे हुए हैं वो इन सेक्शंस के होंगे, तो बैलेंस्ड हो जाएगा. बट लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द आंसर की. सबसे पहले कॉस्टिंग की आंसर की से शुरू करते हैं. सो आर यू गाइस रेडी? आर यू गाइस रेडी फॉर द आंसर की? रेडी विद योर पेन एंड पेपर टू कैलकुलेट आपने कितने मार्क्स स्कोर किए हैं? सो देयर वाज अ न्यूमेरिकल ऑन कैलकुलेटिंग द लेबर वेरिएंस. तो लेबर वेरिएंस क्या होगा? यहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड आ रहा है, एक्चुअल आ रहा है, तो ये फेवरेबल वेरिएंस है. 500 माइनस 475 25 इंटू एक्चुअल रेट 50 होगा जिसका आंसर, ठीक है. आंसर इज ऑप्शन नंबर 1. तो ये तो सबने किया ही होगा, बहुत बहुत बार हमने लाइव क्लासेस में भी ये स्टैंडर्ड वेरिएंस वाला क्वेश्चन कराया था. नेक्स्ट इज कॉस्ट ऑफ कन्वर्जन. क्या मतलब होता है जी कॉस्ट ऑफ कन्वर्जन? तो इफ यू वुड हैव रेड द फर्स्ट चैप्टर ऑफ कॉस्टिंग, ठीक है, वहां पे हमने कॉस्ट शीट समझाई थी, और वहां पे ये लिखा हुआ था, ध्यान से देखिए. कन्वर्जन कॉस्ट क्या लिखा हुआ है? कन्वर्जन कॉस्ट इक्वल टू फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट माइनस डायरेक्ट मटेरियल कॉस्ट. अब यहां पे ऑप्शंस में कहीं फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट नहीं था, ठीक है, यहां पे फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट नहीं था ऑप्शन में. सो वी कुड हैव टेकन अप द नेक्स्ट बेस्ट ऑप्शन, कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. क्योंकि कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन भी क्या है, मेरी फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट प्लस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ओवरहेड ही है ना, ठीक है, इसको हम इग्नोर कर सकते थे क्योंकि ऑप्शन में फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट कहीं आ ही नहीं रहा था. सो माय आंसर वुड बी कॉस्ट ऑफ कन्वर्जन मींस कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन माइनस डायरेक्ट मटेरियल. ठीक है, तो ये बिल्कुल मुश्किल नहीं था. कॉस्ट ऑफ कन्वर्जन क्या होता है कि हम मटेरियल को कन्वर्ट कर कर जब फिनिश प्रोडक्ट बनाते हैं तो उस कन्वर्जन में उस प्रोसेस में जो पैसा लगता है वो होता है. तो मटेरियल का कॉस्ट हम उसमें नहीं लेते हैं. ठीक है, उसमें जो लेबर कॉस्ट है, मशीन की कॉस्ट है, वो हम लेते हैं. तो इसका आंसर है जी ऑप्शन नंबर ए. देन spoilage which occurs due to inefficient process and can be controlled during the ordinary course of business is called what? तो वो spoilage जो inefficient process के कारण होती है और कंट्रोल हो जानी चाहिए थी, वो एक नॉर्मल लॉस नहीं है. वो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो लॉस होना ही था, वो हमारी वजह से हुआ है, उसको हम बोलते हैं एबनॉर्मल लॉस, मतलब एबनॉर्मल स्पॉइलेज. तो इसका आंसर होगा हमारा ऑप्शन नंबर बी. ठीक है, तो ये एबनॉर्मल लॉस की डेफिनेशन बहुत क्लियर है. अकर्स दैट ड्यू टू एबनॉर्मल दैट आर नॉट कंसीडर्ड एज रेगुलर पार्ट. तो हमारी इनएफिशिएंसी की वजह से जो हो. कंट्रीब्यूशन मींस बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन है. कंट्रीब्यूशन का मतलब होता है सेल्स माइनस वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. इसका आंसर होगा जी ऑप्शन नंबर ए. ठीक है, कंट्रीब्यूशन इज सेल्स माइनस वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. क्वेश्चन नंबर 5, लीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग आइडेंटिफाइज हाउ मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ वेस्ट. तो यहां पे इसका आंसर 7 है जी. लीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में 7 टाइप की वेस्ट होती है, इफ यू कुड रिमेंबर. तो ये भी बहुत बार पढ़ाया गया था लाइव क्लासेस में. ये 7 टाइप की वेस्ट हैं जो लीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में कंसिडर की जाती हैं. आई होप ये क्वेश्चन सबका सही हुआ होगा. फिर क्वेश्चन था जी 5S पे कि लीन सिस्टम में 5S होते हैं, छठा कौन सा है जो लेटर इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था? उसका आंसर है जी सेफ्टी. ठीक है, उसका आंसर है सेफ्टी. ये तो बहुत ही क्लियरली आप लोग कर गए होंगे. 6S सेफ्टी बहुत अच्छे से बताया गया था ये क्लासेस में भी. चलिए, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स इज इनकरेक्ट अबाउट केजन. ये पहले भी शायद पीएफआरडीए में क्वेश्चन सेम टू सेम आया है. तो केजन में क्या होता है? कंटिन्यूस इंप्रूवमेंट की जाती है इन्वॉल्विंग ऑल द एम्प्लॉयज, और जिसमें हम लॉन्ग टर्म एक व्यू लेके चलते हैं. तो जो पहला ऑप्शन है कि ये शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए, ये गलत है यार. केजन ऐसा नहीं होता है. इट इज नॉट फॉर शॉर्ट टर्म, इट इज फॉर लॉन्गर टर्म. ठीक है, तो यहां पे भी आप देखिए, यहां पे ये लॉन्ग टर्म वर्ड बहुत क्लियरली यूज किया है, लॉन्ग टर्म. तो अगर किसी ने ध्यान से पढ़ा होगा तो ये आराम से सही करके आया होगा. हाँ, ये क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा मैं बोलूंगा मुश्किल है, ये शायद काफी लोगों का गलत हुआ होगा. बीपीआर यूजेज विच फ्रेमवर्क टू आइडेंटिफाई द इनएफिशिएंट प्रोसेसेस. बीपीआर बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग. तो ये मुझे भी नहीं आता था, मुझे नेट से देखना पड़ा. इसका आंसर है पॉटर्स वैल्यू चेन, व्हाट आई कुड फाइंड फ्रॉम द नेट. दो मुझे इसके ऊपर और पढ़ना पड़ेगा टू मेक श्योर दैट द आंसर आई एम टेलिंग यू इज करेक्ट. तो जो फ्रेमवर्क जिसके ऊपर बीपीआर बना गया है, जिस फ्रेमवर्क को वो यूज करता है, वो है पॉटर्स वैल्यू चेन. मतलब इसका आंसर हमारा होगा ऑप्शन नंबर ए. ये भी 6 सिग्मा में डिफेक्ट लेवल क्या होता है? बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन है जी. 3.4 डिफेक्ट्स पर मिलियन. ऑप्शन भी ऐसा कोई कंफ्यूजिंग नहीं है, तो ये आपने आराम से कर लिया होगा कि 6 सिग्मा में जो बेंचमार्क होता है 3.4 डिफेक्ट्स पर मिलियन होता है. फर्स्ट का आंसर 95 बता रहे हैं जी लोग. ठीक है, देख लेंगे. ठीक है जी. बैच कॉस्टिंग इज एन एक्सटेंशन ऑफ व्हाट? बैच कॉस्टिंग इज एन एक्सटेंशन ऑफ जॉब कॉस्टिंग. ठीक है, तो ये तो बिल्कुल साफ है जी कि जॉब कॉस्टिंग का वेरिएशन होता है बैच कॉस्टिंग. ठीक है, देख लेंगे. तो इसका आंसर है जॉब कॉस्टिंग, ऑप्शन नंबर ए. फिर आया था जी क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज अ बजट. बजट क्या होता है? ये तो फर्स्ट ऑप्शन है कि कोई ऐसा प्लान जिसमें हम अपने एक्सपेंडिचर को प्लान करेंगे, रेवेन्यू को प्लान करेंगे फॉर अ फिक्स पीरियड दैट इज यूजुअली 1 ईयर. तो इसका आंसर ऑप्शन नंबर ए है जी. रिकॉर्ड ऑफ पास्ट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट ट्रांजेक्शन, तो बैलेंस शीट इनकम स्टेटमेंट होगा, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस इनकम स्टेटमेंट होगा. तो इसका आंसर ऑप्शन नंबर ए है. हाउ हैज द रोल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटेंट चेंज इन द मॉडर्न ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. ये भी थोड़ा सा ग्लोबल सा क्वेश्चन है। अब आई वॉज कंफ्यूज्ड और इधर आई एम कंफ्यूज्ड के बी होगा या ए होगा, कि मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटेंट जो सिर्फ अकाउंटिंग नहीं, उसका रोल और भी इवॉल्व हो रहा है। तो आई थिंक इसका आंसर ए है, स्ट्रैटेजिक रोल। वैसे वेरिएबल एनालिसिस भी वो करते हैं कि किस तरह से चीजों में चेंज लाकर, वेरिएबल्स में चेंज लाकर, कॉस्ट में चेंज लाकर प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कैसे चेंज की जा सकती है। बट आई थिंक मोर स्पेसिफिक आंसर वुड बी आंसर ए, स्ट्रैटेजिक रोल। ठीक है, यहां पे कमेंट नहीं आ रहे हैं जलद सर। आई वांट टू सी दी कमेंट्स, ताकि जहां भी, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट इज डैश इज अ परफॉर्मेंस बेंचमार्क सेटअप अंडर परफेक्ट कंडीशंस एज्यूमिंग नो वेस्टेज, नो आइडल टाइम एंड मैक्सिमम एफिशिएंसी। तो आइडियल स्टैंडर्ड बोलते हैं जी इसको, विच इज अटेन्ड अंडर परफेक्ट कंडीशंस। तो यहाँ पे परफेक्ट कंडीशंस की बात की जा रही है, तो इसका आंसर यहाँ पे होगा आइडियल स्टैंडर्ड, आईएस, आइडियल स्टैंडर्ड होगा जी इसका आंसर। कॉस्ट कंट्रोल मेनली इंक्लूड्स विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग। तो कॉस्ट कंट्रोल में हम बेसिकली कंपेयर करते हैं अपनी एक्चुअल कॉस्ट को स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्ट से, और फिर हम उसमें जो वेरिएशन होती है उसको कम करने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो कंपैरिजन ऑफ एक्चुअल कॉस्ट विद द स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्ट इज एक्चुअली अ पार्ट ऑफ कॉस्ट कंट्रोल मैकेनिज्म। सो आंसर हियर वुड बी ऑप्शन नंबर बी। TPM is the system of maintaining and improving the dash of the production and quality system। मुझे ऑप्शंस नहीं पता है, बट इसका आंसर इंटीग्रिटी है। आई एम डेड श्योर ऑन दिस, आई एम डेड श्योर इन दिस कि इसका आंसर इंटीग्रिटी है, बिकॉज ये सेम लाइन और यहां पे वर्ड इंटीग्रिटी आप देख सकते हैं आईसीआई के नोट्स में। मैं स्क्रीनशॉट भी लाना चाहता था, आपको दिखाना चाहता था कि आईसीआई के नोट्स में सेम लाइन लिखी हुई है। आई कुड नॉट ब्रिंग दैट, मैं भूल गया। सेम लाइन विद द वर्ड इंटीग्रिटी रिटन हियर इज पार्ट ऑफ आईसीआई नोट्स। तो मैं डेड श्योर हूं कि इसका आंसर इंटीग्रिटी है। हालांकि आई थिंक ऑप्शन में अवेलेबिलिटी भी ऑप्शन था एक, तो ये ऑप्शन भी सही मानता मैं, और शायद मैं यही लगाकर आता एग्जाम में। बट जब मैंने आईसीआई के नोट्स देखे, मुझे किसी ने भेजे, वहां पे वर्ड इंटीग्रिटी लिखा हुआ है, विच इज अ मोर हॉलिस्टिक ऑप्शन। तो इसका आंसर इंटीग्रिटी होगा जी। जो भी ऑप्शन में ए बी सी डी में जहां पे इंटीग्रिटी था, उसका आंसर होगा जी इंटीग्रिटी। ठीक है, लोग बोल रहे हैं कि इंटीग्रिटी नहीं था। हाँ, अगर इंटीग्रिटी नहीं था तो फिर अवेलेबिलिटी था, तो अवेलेबिलिटी आंसर हो सकता है, बिकॉज टीपीएम का एक यही होता है कि मशीन ब्रेकडाउन ना हो और अवेलेबिलिटी रहे उसकी। ठीक है, अब कोई कह रहा है कि इंटीग्रिटी वाज देयर इन दी ऑप्शंस, देखिए आप। तो यही दिक्कत है हमारे साथ भी, हम 10 लोगों से बात करते हैं, अलग अलग व्यू मिलते हैं। तो अगर इंटीग्रिटी था, आई एम डेड श्योर कि इंटीग्रिटी आंसर होगा। अगर इंटीग्रिटी नहीं था तो अलग बात है। काफी लोग अब बोल रहे हैं कि इंटीग्रिटी था। अगर इंटीग्रिटी था तो वही आंसर है जी, कोई डाउट नहीं है इसमें। आप बिल्कुल भी ये गलत मत मानिए कि इंटीग्रिटी आंसर नहीं होगा। फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन में जरा सर लोगों को डाउट था कि आंसर 95 होगा।
95 फेवरेबल बता रहा है।
लेट मी चेक, देख लेते हैं एक बार। $95 तो मुझे पता नहीं किस वे से आएगा, या तो फिर ये नंबर्स ही गलत है। ये नंबर्स शायद जो हमें मिले हैं ये गलत है। ठीक है, क्योंकि अगर मैं कह रहा हूं आप स्टैंडर्ड रेट भी ले लो, ये तो दोनों माइनस ही होंगे, 25 ही आएगा यहाँ पे। अगर मैं 2.2 से भी मल्टीप्लाई करूंगा तो ये कितना आ जाएगा, 50 और 5 55, 50। हाँ, फिर भी 95 तो नहीं आएगा, ये 62.5 आएगा। अगर मैं 2.2 से मल्टीप्लाई करता हूँ तो 60 के करीब आ जाएगा ये। मतलब 95 नहीं आएगा, तो ये शायद नंबर गलत है फिर, ठीक है हमारे पास, आई एम रियली सॉरी फॉर दैट।
Some people are saying 50 is correct.
ठीक है, तो ठीक है, अभी अभी तो यही लग रहा है कि जितने लोग उतनी बातें, हम भी कंक्लूड नहीं कर पा रहे हैं चीज़ों को। सो लेट मी कॉल नाउ जलस सर, इट्स योर टर्न। ठीक है, अब जलस सर आएंगे, अकाउंट्स और मैनेजमेंट की आंसर की प्रेजेंट करेंगे। चल भाई, चल 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 भाई, 14 15 आई थिंक, या from here the management starts. So Jalis sir, best of luck. And I would like to repeat again, the questions might not be the exact language what you would have seen in the exam, neither the options, but the intent is to guide you कि ऐसे क्वेश्चन आए थे और ये आंसर है, कुछ गलत होंगे please let us know in the comment section. We'll try to rectify here, or we will try to rectify later once we have complete set of comments and inputs from other students also. Jalis sir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I have the mic.
Okay, you have the mic. So should I just close it or should I
just keep it over?
Okay.
Right. So let's start with management. And in management, I have the collection of 16 questions. And again, as Anchit sir said, we have tried to make sure that you understand the theme of the question. And then we will tell you the probable correct answer also. So let's start with the very first question in management. In management, the very first question was related to a small case study, not that much big. Under this particular question, what they are trying to say is a team is working under two different managers. One manager is following a different style of leadership. Another manager is following a different style of leadership. You have to identify that which is the leadership style which these two managers are using. Now, in the question which we have got from multiple students, manager 1 only gives instruction, does not invite or any inputs and ignores feedback from the team members. Management 2 actively seeks feedback from the team members, consider their suggestions and take final decisions. Again, the language might differ, but according to us, the correct answer of this particular question will be autocratic for manager number 1 and democratic for management number 2. Now, in the place of democratic, you can have synonyms of democratic also, like participative, consultative, and whatnot. Right? So, according to us, this is the correct answer for the very first question in management. And according to me, if you have studied the basics of management, the leadership chapter, then this is a doable question. I will not count this question as tough. Okay, so let's start. Let's move ahead to the next question now. I hope the very first question you all would have got correct. And this we have covered beautifully in our course also, autocratic leadership, where you have to cover, where you don't have to cover that leadership. Moreover, where is democratic leadership applicable? What are the features of democratic leadership? Everything is covered in the course beautifully. Moving forward, next question was a kind of one of the biggest, I would say, surprise from me, that SEBI is also asking some application based questions. Now, in this question, there was a kind of a match the following. What they have done is they have given 4 needs of Maslow. Maslow has given 5, right? So they have given you 4 needs: basic physiological, esteem needs, safety needs, and social needs. And then a person is going into a bank and that person is asking for BSBDA, basic savings bank deposit account, premium card, insurance policy, and relationship manager. Now you have to find out that BSBDA relates to which type of need of Maslow. Premium card will relate to which particular kind of need of Maslow. Right? So you have to do the math the following. Now, for the convenience, I have just kept the correct answer on your screen. Right? So if you see, the question is like this only: column A, column B, and then you have to do the math the following. So BSBDA will come under basic physiological need, because it is a basic need, because you open a bank account to deposit your saving to get some interest on it, right? Then premium card will give you status and respect, so it will be your esteem need. Insurance policy is for your present and for future also, so it will be safety and security. And relationship manager, if you are asking for a relationship manager, then it will be a social need. So this will be the correct combination. Now, obviously, we cannot make all the 5 options in this case, but this is the correct order which will match as per the question demand. Okay. So if you have done the same as the following, then you are correct. And if you are not able to do, like relationship will come under basic physiological, that is incorrect. Relationship is a social need only. Right? Yes. I think Anshul sir wants to come and contribute to something.
नहीं, I just want to correct जो हमारा question था confusion वाला, I'll just go back to that.
हाँ भाई, इसका आंसर हमने जो डिस्कस किया था, इसका आंसर हमने लेबर रेट वेरिएंस निकालनी है. सो लेबर रेट वेरिएंस क्या होगी? एक्चुअल आवर्स इनटू स्टैंडर्ड रेट माइनस एक्चुअल रेट. तो एक्चुअल आवर्स हमारे 475 हैं इंटू 0.2, मतलब 475 का 1/5. इसका आंसर 95 होगा जी. यू आर राइट, आई वाज रॉन्ग. ठीक है, मैं लेबर रेट वेरिएंस की जगह दूसरी वेरिएंस कैलकुलेट कर गया जिसमें मैंने आवर्स को माइनस किया. तो आंसर इज इसका 95. अगर लेबर रेट वेरिएंस है तो 95 ही आंसर है जी. आई स्टैंड करेक्टेड हियर एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट जलस सर टू कंटिन्यू.
Right. So this much of hustle is expected when we are discussing the answer key. Right. So let's move forward to the question of management. We stopped at question number 2, right? So here is our question number 2. Right. So let's continue management. And those who are saying, like for the very first question, if I go back, like as I told you, in this question, democratic is synonyms bhi aa sakte hain, but the answer over here will be democratic or participative. Synonyms can replace, right? We have to use this much of logic. Now moving forward to the next question, question number 2 we have discussed. This is the biggest application based question which SEBI has given to you. Although I would rate this question is doable if your concepts are clear. Okay, this is not like unsolvable or alien kind of question. Question number 3 under management. Now this question is tough according to me. In a highly structured work and organization, setup is autocratic. The question is like the highly structured work environment is given and the work environment in the organization is autocratic. What type of leadership you will follow as per path goal leadership theory? Now, generally in your situational leadership styles, we generally study Fred Fiedler, we generally study Hanse Blancard, but we do not pay that much importance to path goal theory of leadership. But this time, SEBI has made it clear that they are asking Hanse Blancard in phase 1. So they are asking path goal theory in phase 2. So SEBI was clear that they will be testing some of the unconventional concepts. So in question number 3, they have asked you a question from path goal theory only. Now, as per the understanding, if you are having a structured working environment and if you are having an autocratic setup, then in that case, achievement-oriented leadership has to be followed. Now, this was a surprise for many students. Many students would have marked directly directives. But if you see the concept notes of EduTap or if you just follow the concept classes also, if you see under achievement-oriented, like this is the screenshot I have directly taken from the course itself, under authoritative, under your achievement oriented leadership, you want your authority to be there and you also need a simple structured task format. So the correct answer over here will be option number C, if I'm not wrong, which is achievement oriented leadership. And if you have skipped this question, it's completely okay. But if you have done the question, the answer will be option number C. Let's move forward to question number 4. Now, this is also a kind of a basic question, but if you do not study Nadler in HRD, then definitely it's a confusing one. As per Nadler, which of the following is not the function of HRD? Now, many students have marked the answer as education, which to an extent is wrong because the correct answer is performance appraisal. I know performance appraisal does not directly clicks to your mind, but the question specifically mentioned Nadler, and even I was confused that why the answer is performance appraisal over here, right? But I googled it and I also come to know that as per Nadler, the correct answer will be performance appraisal. The logic which Nadler has given over here is that HRD is a continuous kind of, I would say, what process in which you need to have training, career development, education, and development as a more as a comprehensive stuff. He didn't focus that much on performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is used for evaluation. Like even I was wrong in this question. When the question came to me, I also marked my answer as education. But as per the EduTap answer key, the correct answer will be performance appraisal, and we have done our good research on this. The correct answer is coming out as performance appraisal as for now. So if you have done education wrong, give yourself a negative number, and let's move forward to question number 5. Now, question number 5 was based on process of planning. In planning, they have multiple steps, right? So they have given you a big question in which there were multiple steps which were written, and you have to tell that which are the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like that. So you have to set up the planning process. Application based question, we were not expecting this question also. Now, if you use your logic, which I think you would have used, if you use your logic in planning, the very first step is to set the objectives, because without objective, planning is blind, right? Without objective, planning is blind. So you have to first set the objectives, then you have to develop the premises, then you go for the alternative evaluation or development of multiple alternatives, evaluating those alternatives, then selecting the best one, right? So even if you know the basic stuff of planning, you could have marked the right answer. According to us, the right answer will be setting up of objective first, then you move to the next step, which is developing of premises, then you move to the third step, which is identifying alternatives, like this. So if you identify the first three steps also, you could have marked your answer right. Now there is no need to remember all the 8 steps, because answer was coming out if you set the first 3 steps only in the correct order, right? So I think you would have used your logic, and this is a doable question. Now let's move to question number 6, and yes, this is also covered in our course. Different steps of planning, beautiful diagram, then there are multiple explanations to it. Coming to question number 6. Now, very doable question. This is the question in which you should score as high as possible. As per Hansberg two-factor theory, which of the following factor creates satisfaction but does not reduce dissatisfaction? Now, Hansberg has given 2 factors only, satisfiers and your maintenance factors. So the question was asking you, as per the Hansberg two-factor theory, which of the following factor creates satisfaction? Satisfaction is the internal thing, but it does not reduce your dissatisfaction, right? So we know that the correct answer of this question is recognition. In your recognition, you basically fulfill your motivating factors and you do not talk about your hygiene factors, right? A very straightforward question. You should not skip this question, because if you skip this question, then how will you score, right? And this is also beautifully covered in our course. You can see we have given multiple headings for satisfaction, dissatisfaction, and recognition is given as one of the biggest factor which affects your satisfaction level, right? Now let's move forward to question number 7. Now there was a statement which was given, and this statement is exact, which we have got from multiple students. You view things as you want to see them. This statement best represents which concept? Now this question has been taken from your communication barriers, right? Although we have studied semantic, organizational barriers, we have emotional barriers also, stereotyping, halo effect and whatnot. So they have asked a question based on it only, that you view things as you want to see them. So this is your selective perception, right? Option number C is correct over here, because in this particular concept, what I want to see, I will see that only. For example, theory X will always criticize theory Y will always criticize theory X, because they both have their different ways of seeing the things. So question number 7, the correct answer will be option number C. Right. Just give me a minute. Now, let's move forward to the next question. And again, this was also given in our course. Multiple different barriers are given. So even if you apply the basic concept of elimination, you could have got it correct. Thank you, sir. Now, moving forward to the next question. Question number 8. Which of the following is not a feature of formal organization? Now, this is also, I think, very easy for all of us. The very basic concept of organization, formal, informal, we have studied a lot. In question number 8, now there were again statements, multiple statements, and you cannot replicate a statement-based question. Believe me, I have bad nights and bad days, because you cannot replicate a statement-based question. Statement-based questions are very tough to replicate. But if you see in this question number 8, which of the following is not a feature? The correct answer of this question was, it is based on some personal relations and social relationships. In formal organization structure, you only have authorities, fixed responsibilities. You don't build any of your personal and social relationships. So the statement which was talking about personal and social relationship will be the correct answer for this particular question. Rest all the other statements which were given in question number 8, they were correct. Like formal follow proper rules, formal follow proper chain of command. Those statements were correct. Right? So I hope many of you are getting the right answers and many of you are getting some of the confidence also. And yes, this formal organizational, informal organization is also covered holistically in our course. You can see multiple features on different scales we have written. Right? Now let's move forward to question number 9. Now there was a question based on administration versus management. right? One of the fundamental concepts which you study in the concepts of journal management also. Now the question was again statement based, and again we cannot replicate a statement based question. So over here the theme was like the multiple statements were given, and in each statement you have some of the qualities for administration, some of the qualities for management. The correct answer according to us of this question is that administration builds vision and management deals with day-to-day functions. This is the correct statement according to us, and if we are wrong then please let us know in the chat box also. But as per me, administration is a top level function and management is like more of middle level and low level. You do a lot of daily work on your management, right? So the correct answer of this particular question will be statement related to this particular theme, right? Now this is again covered beautifully in your course, like what is administration and what is your, I would say, management function, right? Now let's move to question number 10. Where will the task orientation leader performs better as compared to a relationship orientative leader? Now this I think is the toughest question of management. This I think is the toughest question of management, because in this particular question, even if you know the concept, you cannot mark the right answer because it will take a loads of time. What student has said us on this particular question is that there were multiple statements which were given, right? And then they have given examples in each statement. So you have to read each statement, and they were very, very similar also. So we are still now not able to get the correct, I would say, statements over here, right? So we are not giving any answer to this particular question, because when we do not have the inputs, how we will give the outputs, right? So we will leave this question, but question number 10, I think, is the toughest question of management, which they have asked from Fred-Fiedler theory of leadership, one of the most confusing question to have. So even I am blank because I don't have the statements over here, right? Now let's move forward. And yes, this is covered in our course. You can see they have made multiple, examples from the main figure, like where the structure will be good, where the structure will be bad, what will be the status of power and whatnot. So this was very, very, I would say, a tough question to do. But yes, some people were saying some unfavorable, favorable stuff, but they were not able to tell us the correct answer of that. So we will leave this question for now, because like we have talked to like 20 students and they were not able to give me the input. So I will not state the answer for question number 10. But those who have covered Fred-Fiedler with me, they can let me know the answers, or they can let me know the, I would say, correct statements in the chat box, and then I will be able to give you the correct answer. Question number 11, totally out of the box. They have asked you something which I have studied in my college days, that how do you form a group? So forming a group is like a 5 stages process, which was given by Turkman, and this is very famous person in management, by the way. He has given you 5 stages. Now in this particular question, they have tested 4 out of 5. They have tested 4 out of 5. They have given you forming, storming, norming, and adjourning. Now what they have done is they have swapped. Now based on those swap, you have to identify that which is the incorrect one. So you can read the question. This is how the question was looking, and we have tried to replicate, but I don't think we have done like that much massive job. We have done a decent job. This was the question something about. Now again, multiple students were saying that they were not able to recollect the statement also, which was based on this question, right? So we will not be able to give the right answer for question number 11 also, because the inputs which we have got from 20-25 students, they were not able to tell us something like definitely. So we will not give the right answer, but yes, there was a question based on formation of multiple different groups, right? So I will be skipping the answers for question number 10 and for question number 11, because we have to justify, we as a teacher also, अगर मैं कुछ गलत बता के चला जाऊं, if I tell you something wrong and later I have to correct it, it's not that much good, right? Now let's move to question number 12, one of the easiest question. How management is science and art. We studied this in the very first class of management itself, that management is basically your science because it follows universal principles. At the same time, it's an art because you can apply your personal knowledge to it, right? So for question number 12, a statement was given, something like this is correct. Manager uses his own creativity because this is an art. At the same time, follows principles because this is a science, right? So this will be the correct answer for question number 12 according to me, right? But remember, management is not exact science. Management is a soft science. So this was the correct one for question number 12. Moving forward, this is again covered beautifully in our course management as a science, management as an art, and management as a profession also. Right? Question number 13 now. Again, very easy question. Read the following statements about leadership and identify the correct one. So there were 4 statements which were given. Again, I'm not saying that this is the correct order of those statements, but somewhat similar kind of question was there in the exam. Leadership is a personal skill. This is correct because every leader is a unique leader. Leader is fixed. Leadership is fixed across multiple situations. No. So this is incorrect. Leadership changes as per situation. Yes. As per contingency approach, it changes. Leadership is used for personal objectives. This is also incorrect because leadership is used for organizational objectives. Right? So if you see statement number 2 and statement number 4 are incorrect, you have to find the correct one. So the correct answer of this question will be only 1 and 3, which is your option number C. Right? Simple question, and I think they have given a due importance to leadership this time. Motivation, only 1 or 2 questions related to Maslow, but leadership, I think, has dominated the management section this time. Now again, leadership is covered beautifully in your course. Multiple different features are given one by one. Now they have asked you one question related to SMART, and this is like repetition of 2022 PYQ. SMART, like we have covered multiple times. S stands for specific, measurement, achievable, relevant, and time bound. This is again related to planning. In the very first stage, you have to set what? SMART goals, SMART objectives. So this is very basic question. I hope you would have got it correct also. I will not say that this is a tough question. Again, covered beautiful in your course. Specific, measurable, achievement, relevant, and time bound. Next question is question 15. According to Burns, what is the difference? What is the difference between transactional and transformational? Right? And we all know this is a very fundamental concept of leadership. Transactional, transformational, we have studied a lot. Right? And if you see, the correct answer of this question was again based on statements, but the correct one was related to transformational. Is like it will help you to increase the morale of the team. Right? So if you increase the morale of the team, then definitely you are doing a transformational stuff and not transactional. So a very basic question. I hope you would have also got it correct. Last question of management, and yes, this is also covered beautiful in our course. Last question was related to Henry Fayol 14 Principles of Management. Spirit D Corps means what? Spirit D Corps basically means teamwork. The coordination should be high so that everybody in the organization feels happy and committed. Again, one of the last principle which was given by Henry Fayol. So I think these are the 16 questions. Bearing like 5 questions I think are tough, but out of those 5, 9 are easy. And I hope you will also get those correct. So there were 16 questions, right? So even if 5 are tough, 11 were doable. So you could have scored good number of marks in management. And I think management is like moderate to tough, but some questions were easy also. Do let me know what is your score of management out of 16 questions in the chat box right now. What is your score of management? Please let me know. Transactional create 15th easy application. Question number 1 में rate variance पूछा था. Yes, Rishi, we have corrected that question. Anche sir himself corrected that. Costing 13 correct, 2 wrong. Costing 13 correct, 2 wrong in management, 15 correct, 1 wrong. Okay. I can see some students are scoring good. But yes, management last year se tough hai. But it's not that much tough also because toppers will definitely do good. So you also need to make sure that you are also doing good. Now let's move to commerce and accounts. Right? In commerce and accountancy, currently we have the tally of 11 questions only. Now we are short on 19 questions, and I think maximum of the questions which are not included in our PPT are from finance or from economics. But many students have said that in costing or in commerce and accounts, numerical were very low. Numerical was very low, right? So let's move forward to the next type of questions, which is of commerce and accounts. Now in commerce and accounts, they have tested what? They have tested the concept of scope as in like what will you include and what will you not include, right? So if you see, my friends, over here we have what? The first question of accounting standard 2, which deals with the valuation of inventories, right? So you have what? a question number 2 based on the valuation of inventories. Straight away, they have asked a fundamental question. Straight away, that what will come under the AS2 definition and what will not come under the AS2 definition. Right? And even if you do not go that much deep into AS or into NDAS, then definitely you could have got it correct. And many students were confused. So should we study NDAS? Should we study AS and whatnot? You can see straight away question is coming. So this is what a surprise was. This is one of the biggest surprise for all of us, that SEBI has not gone deep, but they have tested multiple different concepts. Right? So wide coverage is there. So if you see, work in progress arising from the construction contract is not included under the scope of AS2. So the correct answer over here will be option number A, which is 1, 2 and 3. Right? Construction contracts are not governed as per AS2. So this will be eliminated. And if you see our course also, we have directly covered this particular statements in a best manner as possible. In the live classes also, we told you inventory is held for sale, inventory is held for the process of production rather. Inventory is held for consumption in the production of goods and services will be included. What will not be included? Work in process arising from the construction contract. Very basic question. मैं इसको tough भी नहीं बोलूँगा ना moderate बोलूँगा. I will rate it as easy because this is one of the founding concept of AS2. Coming to AS10 now. Now we are not sure that how the statements were made, but by talking to multiple students, we have got to know that as per AS10, what will not be included. Now some students were saying that over here they are asking you what is included. Some are saying that they were asking not included. So we have gone with the majority of the students that we have included not. By which I mean this is the question of AS10 property plant and equipment. And some students were saying कि यहाँ पे not था, some were saying यहाँ पे not नहीं था. We have gone with the majority and we have inserted not. Right? As per AS10 property plant and equipment, what is not included in AS10? PPE in production process of goods and services, this is included. Bearer plants, if they fulfill certain conditions, then they are also included. PPE used for agriculture is excluded. So what is the purpose over here? Not included. So your answer will be only 3, which is option number E, which is option number 3. Right? And yes, do not get confused. Some students are saying only bearer pucha tha, what not. There were 2 questions based on the scope of AS10. Right? This is the first question which I am discussing with you related to the scope of AS10. There was another question which was based on the scope of AS10. The correct answer over here is E, which is only 3 because PPE for agriculture is not included under AS10. Now there was one more question, like this is beautifully covered in our course as well. One more question based on the scope of AS10 was as per AS10, which of the following is included? So यहाँ पे they are asking you included. In the previous question, they are asking you which of the following is not included. So there were 2 questions based on the scope of AS10. And this we have confirmed also because like why they are asking the same theme again and again, even we are confused. So we have confirmed it and there were 2 questions based on this. So as per accounting standard 10, what is not included in AS10? Normal plants, bearer plants, mining rights and produce of bearer plant. You have to identify what is included. Sorry, you have to identify what is included. So only bearer plants are included. Even if like there are some 3 conditions which you have to fulfill. Right? So normal plants, mining rights, produce of bearer plants are avoided. Only bearer plants will be included. So your answer will be option number A. Your answer will be option number A as per us. Right? So again, this can be a doubtful question, but we have tried our best to keep it as same as possible. And again, you can see produce of bearer plant is not covered under AS10. Then what are the conditions of bearer plant? This we have covered beautifully in our course. Right? Now let's move forward to the next question, question number 4. Which of the following section deals with the buyback? Now this question can be treated as per Companies Act question also. But for the sake of easiness, we are putting it under Commerce and Accounts. Very easy question. Section 68 of the Companies Act will be the correct answer because buyback deals with multiple sections of 68 only. Right? Very easy question. I hope you would have also got it correct. Moving forward to question number 5. Insurance companies should present their cash flow via which method? Now I think this is one of the most skippable question. You would have skipped this particular question also. The correct answer over here is direct method although in our classes we have taught indirect method only because this is the most common one, but the correct answer over here will be direct method, right? So this is a question which you could have skipped, otherwise you could have taken a guesswork over here. Question number 6. Now in question number 6, what they have done is they have given you definitions of multiple different functions or the steps of accounting: identification, analysis, interpreting, and summary, right? And then you again have to do match the following. So match the following, they have asked you multiple different questions on match the following type. So identification, like we do not remember the exact like options, but you have to match the following. So in this case, we are just giving you the question. We are not 100% sure कि आंसर क्या होगा, because we are not sure कि यहाँ पे मीनिंग में उन लोगों ने क्या दे रखा है. But these functions of accounting was given, and if you are preparing for the next year, then you can definitely judge the level has increased from the last year. Right? So if you see question number 6, even if you just have the basic knowledge, you could have solved this correctly. Right? Yes, classifying can also be there. Like these are the 4 items which we have got from the students. Now this is again covered in our course beautifully. Now coming to question number 7. So this is the only numerical which we have got in the commerce and accountancy, and this goes to AS2 again. AS2, AS10 were tested in the paper. AS13, AS9 also, like AS9 one question is there, but AS13, ESOPs, rights issue, I don't know why SEBI has skipped them altogether. Now the question over here is, a company has a good in work in progress valued at 15,000 at the end of the current financial year. To complete and convert them into finished goods in the next financial year, an additional 10,000 is required. Expected selling price is 25,000. Brokerage to give is 4%. Selling price on the selling price. So brokerage you are giving 4% on the selling price. If the goods are not completed, the NRV will be 0. At what amount we will record the inventories? So do you have the answer of this question? If yes, then do let me know. Yes, the correct answer will be 14,000. Right? Initially, we were marking the answer as 9,000 because we have some wrong values, but we talked to multiple students. The correct answer will be 14,000. So what you basically have to do is, as per AS2, work in progress is recorded at the lower of cost and NRV. This is fundamental rule of AS2, right? Here, the cost of work in progress at the end of the year is 15,000. The NRV is calculated as per the expected selling price of 25,000 minus the further cost to complete that particular work minus your brokerage. So if you do the calculation, your final NRV will come around 14,000, and the cost at your cost of your WIP is your 15,000, right? So lower of the both will be taken. So answer will be 14,000 and not 15,000. So the correct answer for question number 7 will be 14,000. Please mark your answers as per 14,000 only. Question number 8. Due to which of the following financial statements will not be reliable? So if you see, my friends, as per question number 8, they are asking you the features of accounting, right? Which you study in chapter number 1. Which of the following is not a, which of the following, due to which of the following financial statements will not remain reliable? So they will not remain reliable due to your personal bias. Personal bias means what? That I can do multiple different things according to me, right? So answer over here will be personal bias according to us. Easy questions, you could have done it. So this we have covered in our course also, that what does reliability mean, and you can study reliable information should be free from error and bias. But if there are biasness in your accounting information, then they cannot be correct. Question number 9. So this is the only question which they have asked you from AS9, which is your, I would say, revenue recognition accounting standard. Interest to be recognized as what? Like how will you recognize interest? Interest you can recognize proportionately. This again is direct question. You could have saved your time and you could have invested your time in tough numericals which were asked from the chapters of economics. So the correct answer in question number 9 will be recognize proportionately. And this again is covered in our course. You can directly read the right. Interest should be recognized proportionately, right? Moving forward to question number 10. Revaluation of PPE happens at what? Revaluation of PPE happens in happens, and there was a blank and then there were multiple options. So the correct answer over here is for the entire class of PPE. Now this is not the exact question, but the statement based on this question is the correct one. that for the entire class of PPE, your revaluation of PPE will happen. So you cannot say that I will only do revaluation of one asset. You have to do it for the entire asset class. Right? So this is the answer for question number 10. Last question, which is one of the basic questions of, I would say, accounts, or this can be done in your finance also. Right? Question was, bonus issue is of 2:5. So you are issuing 2 shares for every 5 shares which the person is having. A man holds 5,000 shares. Total shares will be what? If a man holds 5,000 shares, so the value of 5 is 5,000. So 1 unit is 1,000. 2 unit will be 2,000. So 5,000 is existing, 2,000 additional. So the total number of shares after bonus issue will be 7,000. Right? This also we have covered multiple times in our course. And this is where we finish our component of finance also. Right? Sorry, we finish a component of accounts also, my bad. So this is what I have presented for you, and I wish you all the very best. Now the time is to move forward to companies law and finance, to which I would like to call Jaskaran sir and take the session forward.
Hello everyone, so I hope my voice is audible. So now let us begin with the next component, which is company law. And I would say the questions that we have taken, the source of these questions is basically the students only. So at any point of time, if you feel that any question requires correction, or if you feel that any question is missing, please write it in the comment box, right? So let us begin with the question number 1. So the question number 1 is, under section 125 of the Company Act 2013, the amounts credited to the Investor Education and Protection Fund shall be utilized for which of the following purposes? Now, if you see the options over here, and we have used the similar type of options only that were there in the exam. So we know that if you talk about this IEPF, basically it can be utilized for with respect to refund in case of unclaimed dividends. Then the promotion of investor education and awareness. It is also used for distribution of any disgorged amount among eligible and identifiable applicants, and it is also utilized for reimbursement of legal expenses. So basically E is going to be the correct answer to this question. So all the statements are correct. Now let us move on to the next one, which is question number 2. And as you can see it over here, that we had covered it as a part of our course, and the same points have been mentioned over here also. So you can see it later on. Now let us move on to question number 2. So the question number 2 is, under section 144 of the Company Acts, an auditor appointed under the Act shall not directly or indirectly render any of the following services to the company or its holding company or its subsidiary company. Now, I would say this question was also easy, and company law is something that is comparatively very scoring as compared to the other components. So if you see these options regarding the prohibited functions with respect to the auditor, so option number A is accounting and bookkeeping services, then the internal audit, then the investment advisory services, management services, right? So you can clearly see it over here that basically again E is going to be the correct answer to this question, because all this, I would say, all these different type of services are not allowed with respect to the auditor, right? Because of the conflict of interest. So that is why E is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now let us move on to question number 3, but before that you can see that we had covered it as a part of our course, right? So this is a screenshot that I pasted. Now moving on to question number 3. As per the provisions of the Company Act 2013, if the dividend declared by a company has not been paid or claimed within dash days from the date of declaration, the company shall within dash days from the date of expiry of the said period transfer the total amount of unclaimed dividend to the dash. So we know that basically these unclaimed dividend, they are going to be added as a part of unpaid dividend account, right? And if the dividend declared by a company has not been claimed within 30 days from the date of declaration, the company shall within 7 days from the expiry of the said period transfer the total amount to the unpaid dividend account, right? So that is why C is going to be the correct answer to this question. I hope you have marked it correctly. Yes, so I can see it in the chat box that all of you have marked it correctly. Great. Now let us move on to question number 4. So before that, you can see this is something also that we had covered very specifically, both as a part of this diagram and also as a part of the text, right? Now let us move on to question number 4. So as per section 52 of the Company Act, the security premium account of a company may be applied for which of the following purposes? So this question is also very easy. बहुत ही सीधे साधे क्वेश्चन है, कोई घुमा फिरा के क्वेश्चन नहीं है. कंपनी एक्ट के क्वेश्चन हमेशा से ऐसे ही आते रहे एग्जाम में और इस साल भी ऐसे ही है, राइट? सो रिगार्डिंग दिस, ऑफ कोर्स इट इज गोइंग टू बी द इशू ऑफ बोनस शेयर्स. सो इशू ऑफ बोनस शेयर्स टू द मेंबर्स ऑफ द कंपनी with respect to securities premium account, right? So it can be applied for that purpose. So that is why B is going to be the correct answer. And as you can see it over here, that we had covered this also. What is the application of premiums received on the issue of shares? So you can see this was the correct answer to this question. Now let us move on to the next one, which is question number 5. A company proposes to raise rupees 150 crore through an IPO in accordance with SEBI requirements, SEBI ICDR regulations 2018. As per the application provision, what shall be the minimum subscription amount that must be received and the minimum application money? Now regarding the first part, with respect to the answer to this question, we know if I talk about the minimum subscription amount, it is going to be what? It is going to be 90%, right? And 90% of 150 crore is going to be what? It is going to be 135 crore, right? So regarding this, we have the clarity. Now regarding the second part to this question, right? And I would accept that there is some problem with this question. I think we have made this error. So ये मुझे confirm नहीं है कि ये SEBI ICDR regulation question में लिखा था या नहीं. Please confirm क्या है कीवर्ड वहां पर लिखा था, this SEBI ICDR regulation 2018, because अगर ये लिखा होगा तो इसका आंसर चेंज हो जाएगा. Was this keyword mentioned? If this keyword was mentioned, then the answer is going to be different. See, if this keyword SEBI was mentioned over here, SEBI ICDR regulation 2018, then the answer is going to be 25% with respect to the second part. But if this keyword was not mentioned, then you have to write the answer that is there with respect to the company law, right? Which is basically 5% of the nominal value, right? So it all depends upon the question, right? So as per the information that we have received, I think this keyword was not mentioned. ये क्वेश्चन शायद गलत बन गया मेरे हिसाब से, क्योंकि ये SEBI ICDR रेगुलेशन में लिखा नहीं था. क्वेश्चन में अगर नहीं लिखा था तो इसका आंसर होगा 135 करोड़ एंड 5%, राइट? तो 5% होना चाहिए, बट अगर लिखा है तो फिर ये 25% होना चाहिए, राइट? सो आई एम लीविंग इट अप टू यू कि ICDR लिखा था या नहीं. ओके, ICDR लिखा हुआ था तो फिर इसका आंसर यही होगा, राइट? देन इट इज गोइंग टू बी 25%. Then it is going to be 25% as a part of it, right? If this was mentioned, but मान लो 25% अगर नहीं तो ऑप्शन में, तो फिर 5% होगा. 5% of the nominal value. It all depends with respect to that. ठीक है. All right. So now let us move on to, तो यहाँ गलती से C लिख दिया है, इसका आंसर D होगा, not C, D होगा, ठीक है इसका आंसर, because over here you can see 135 crore and 25%, right? Now let us move on to the next one. Question number 6. A company fraudulently issued duplicate shares having aggregate value of 1 crore. As per section 46 of the Company Act, the company shall be punishable with a fine which shall not be less than what, right? So if you talk about the minimum fine, right? Minimum fine is what? It is 5 times. And if you talk about maximum fine, it is what? It is 10 times. 10 times or basically 10 crore, right? This is the highest over here. So if you fill in the blank over here, the value that is provided is 1 crore. So 1 into 5 is 5, right? So the minimum is going to be 5 and 1 into 10 is going to be 10. And the highest is 10 crore over here, right? So whichever is higher among them. So that is going to be the answer. So basically B is going to be the correct answer to this question. अब मुझे ये confirm नहीं है कि यहाँ पर 1 crore लिखा था या नहीं, right? ये थोड़ा confirm कर दो. This value was 1 crore or something else. क्योंकि अगर ये value change होगी तो of course answer भी change हो जाएंगे, options change हो जाएंगे. So, but you just have to multiply it with 5, with 10, and yes, of course, 10 crore is the highest. तो इन दोनों में से जो भी ज्यादा होता है वो मैक्सिमम चूज किया जाता है. The minimum is going to be 5 crore. So, I hope it is clear to you, right? अच्छा, ऑप्शन से 5x 10x लिखा हुआ था. All right. हाँ, तो वही होगा इसका आंसर. 5 times, 10 times, and 10 crore. That is going to be the answer to this question. ओके. तो मतलब कंसेप्ट समझ गए होंगे दैट व्हाट इज द थिंग बिहाइंड इट. बाकी जो भी ऑप्शन में लिखा हुआ था उस हिसाब से आप समझ गए होंगे दैट व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. आई होप इट इज क्लियर टू यू. नाउ लेट अस मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन. सो द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज And this is also something that we had covered as a part of the course. You can see it over here. You can see it over here, that 5 times, 10 times and 10 crore, right? So now let us move on to the next one. Question number 7. A general meeting of a company is scheduled to be held at Faridabad on 19th of September. However, the required quorum is not present within half an hour from the scheduled time of the meeting. The articles of the companies are silent in this regard as per the provisions of the Company Act, on which date shall the adjourned meeting be held. अब ये बहुत ही आसान क्वेश्चन था, ठीक है. ऑफ कोर्स इफ यू हैव स्टडीड कंपनी लॉ तो ये 1 वीक एक्सटेंड हो जाता है, राइट. सो इसका आंसर होगा 26th of September, right? So this is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now let us move on to the next one. Question number 8. As per the provisions of the Company Act, the appointment of directors and key managerial personnel is to be recommended by dash. However, where such a committee is not required to be constituted or has not been constituted, the responsibility shall be discharged by whom? So basically it is going to be nothing but nomination and remuneration committee, right? And if it is not there, then the decision is going to be taken by board of directors. So basically B is going to be the correct answer to this question, right? So B is going to be the correct answer to this question, and I hope you have marked it correctly. So now we are done with this Company Act portion, and I would say that Company Act was easier as compared to the other components, क्योंकि बाकी components अब देखो finance बहुत मुश्किल आया था, ठीक है, बहुत सारे tough questions दिखेंगे, unconventional questions दिखेंगे, and in case of economics also it was tough. The questions were very lengthy, but when I talk about Company Act, question बहुत ही straightforward थे, and this has been the usual trend with respect to Company Act, be it phase 1 of this year or be it the previous year questions, right? Now let us move on to next one. Okay, let me see the chat box. कोई बोल रहा है कि it was not KMP, it was for valuation of assets. ठीक है, we will get it checked. We'll get it checked कि यार यहाँ पे क्या rectification लगेगी, right? We will get it checked. But ये अभी students से हमें ये बताया था. But based on your, I would say, inputs, we are going to change this question and we will let you know that basically what is the correct question that was asked. So based on that only, we can reach the conclusion with respect to answer. Now let us move on to the next one. The next is basically the finance portion. So let us see the finance also. Finance का paper तो बहुत मुश्किल आया था, right? It was tough. Many, I would say, difficult questions were there as a part of finance. So एक बार देख लेते हैं that what questions were asked as a part of it. So in the context of digital financial inclusion, DPI stands for what? So this was an easy question regarding DPI, digital public infrastructure, which refers to the foundational digital systems that enable efficient and inclusive delivery of public and financial services. And in India, the interoperable digital framework that includes Aadhaar, eKYC, eSign and UPI is known as what? So it is basically India stack, right? So B is going to be the correct answer to this question. I hope this was the language of the question that was asked. चाहे I would say exactly ये language तो नहीं होगी of course, but कहना कि it would be close enough, right? So do let me know that if it requires any kind of edit or not. So that is going to be the correct answer. Now moving on to question number 2. So this is something that was covered as a part of the course. Now moving on to question number 2. Under the provisions of GST, under the provision of Central GST Act 2017, a registered recipient is required to pay the supplier the value of supply along with the taxable thereon within dash days. So basically this question means to say that, for example, this is person X, right? And let us say this is person Y. Now this person X is the businessman, this person Y is the supplier. Now let us say this person X has purchased some goods from the supplier, right? So what the supplier is going to provide him, this person has paid the amount and this person has paid the GST. And what the supplier is going to provide him, it is going to provide him the invoice, and this invoice is going to include basically the final price, whatever has been paid by this businessman, and the GST also, what has been paid by it, right? It is going to be included as a part of the invoice. So basically the CGST Act says that when this businessman, if he wants to go for input tax credit, right? So before he could do that, right, while he is doing this input tax credit, he has to make sure that this full money that he was supposed to pay to the supplier, that has been paid, right? And what is the deadline with respect to that? The deadline is within 182 days. तो ये क्वेश्चन पूछा है, क्वेश्चन की जो डिमांड है वो यहाँ पर है, ठीक है, दिस इज समथिंग दैट हैज बीन आस्क्ड, दैट बेसिकली इट हैज टू बी डन. नहीं तो क्या होता है, आपने इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट मान लो कर लिया यहाँ पर अप्लाई, बट यू हैव नॉट डन द पेमेंट. सो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, इट इज गोइंग टू एडेड एज योर आउटपुट लाइबिलिटी, और यहाँ पर आपको इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट भी देनी पड़ेगी. So this is something that has been asked, and the correct answer to this question is going to be what? It is going to be D option, which is 180 days, right? So I hope it is clear to you. Now the next one. Question number 3. As per the SEBI Alternate Investment Funds Regulation 2012, the maximum investment that an angel fund may make in an investee company shall not exceed what? So it is going to be 25 crore, and that is going to be the answer to this question. ठीक है, ये पता नहीं उन्होंने क्यों पूछा है क्वेश्चन, इसका कंटेक्स्ट मुझे अभी भी ढूंढना है, क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन ज्यादा तो न्यूज में नहीं था, ये थोड़ी पुरानी रेगुलेशन ही है, ऑल्दो इट वाज देयर इन द न्यूज एट अ सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, लेकिन थोड़ा पुराना करंट अफेयर है ये. तो अगर किसी ने पहले के करंट अफेयर थोड़े देखे होंगे तो न्यूज में चल रहा था उस समय. सो 25 करोड़ इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन, विच इज अ डी ऑप्शन. नाउ लेट अस मूव ऑन टू नेक्स्ट वन, क्वेश्चन नंबर 4. तो क्वेश्चन 4 इज रिगार्डिंग फॉरवर्ड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, फ्यूचर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. ठीक है, तो ये मैं पढ़ूंगा नहीं यार, ये तो बहुत बेसिक चीजें है, आप अभी फेस टू देके आए हो, तो ये दो ऑप्शन सही है. तीसरे ऑप्शन की बात करते हैं, राइट? द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द स्पॉट प्राइस एंड द फ्यूचर प्राइस is known as basis, right? So when I talk about basis price is basically the difference between spot price minus future price, right? This is what we understand by basis price. Now the thing is that basically when the future price is going to be higher than the spot price, it is known as what? It is known as contango. And when the spot price is greater than the future price, it is known as backwardation, right? It is known as backwardation. So the question is asking about contango. It basically means the future price is going to be higher than the spot price. So naturally, when the future price is going to be higher than the spot price as a part of this basic price, don't you think this basic price is going to be negative value, right? Because this is going to be higher as a part of it. So here it is written, it is positive value. So it is not going to be positive, it is going to be negative. And that is why 1 and 2 and A is going to be the correct answer to this question. ठीक है, समझ में आ गया होगा that what do we mean by that when I say contango and backwardation, right? So it's all up to this basis price. और ये मुश्किल क्वेश्चन था थोड़ा, मतलब इतनी डेप्थ में पढ़ते नहीं है यूजुअली स्टूडेंट्स, राइट? और मुझे नहीं लगता कि यार इतनी डेप्थ में आप हर चीज कवर कर सकते हो, क्योंकि सिलेबस भी इतना बड़ा है. But the point is that we पूछ रहे हैं तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं, right? We'll have to amplify the preparation. But the point is that this is going to be the incorrect option, incorrect statement, and 1 and 2 is going to be the answer to this question. I hope it is clear to you. आगे चलते हैं. Now let us move on to the next one. Question number 5. A proposed digital platform in India aims to create a unified online marketplace for insurance products, enabling customers to compare, purchase, and सर्विस पॉलिसीज अक्रॉस इंश्योरर्स थ्रू अ सिंगल पोर्टल. तो बहुत सीधा साधा आंसर है इसका, बीमा सुगम है. ठीक है, इसमें मैं कुछ एक्सप्लेन नहीं करने वाला. करंट अफेयर का क्वेश्चन है, पढ़ा है तो आता है, नहीं पढ़ा तो नहीं आता, या फिर थोड़ी कॉमन सेंस लगा सकते थे. ठीक है, अब मुझे नहीं पता वहां पर ऑप्शंस किस तरह के थे, वरना कॉमन सेंस लगाना भी बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. वहां बीमा वाहक भी दिया हुआ है, सुगम भी दिया हो, तो क्या इसमें कॉमन सेंस लगाओगे, राइट? या तो आता है या तो नहीं आता, क्या थोड़ा गेस वर्क कर सकते थे. बट आई वुड से दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन, विच इज बीमा सुगम, राइट? सो द करेक्ट आंसर इज द सी ऑप्शन. So I hope it is clear to you, and this was covered by us as a part of the current affairs. You can see it over here with respect to Bima Sugam, right? So C is going to be the correct answer to this question. आगे चलते हैं. Now question number 6. An instrument issued by the government with short-term maturity is sold at a discount to its face value and redeemed at par on maturity. The return to the investor is the difference between purchase price and the face value. So what it is going to be? Of course, it is going to be treasury bill. ठीक है, ट्रेजरी बिल इसका आंसर होगा. और ये तो बहुत ही इजी क्वेश्चन है. अब ये क्वेश्चन भी कोई गलत करके आया तो बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम में है वो, राइट? सो दिस वाज वन ऑफ द इजी क्वेश्चंस. सो I would say C is going to be the correct answer to this question, right? And as you can see, it was covered as a part of the course very precisely. Now let us talk about question number 7. अभी जो question number 7 है ना, this was asked regarding certificate of deposit. Now I tried my best to find the content that was asked as a part of this question, but I could not find it, right? बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स मैंने बात की, बहुत सारे तो नहीं बोलूंगा, वैसे 3-4 से तो बात की है. तो कोई मुझे कुछ इनपुट दे रहा है, कोई कुछ इनपुट दे रहा है, तो क्वेश्चन कहने की गलत बन रहा था और उसकी वजह से आंसर भी सही नहीं आ रहा था. तो मुझे लगा कि यार इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग यू रॉन्ग आंसर, I should just write it as an incomplete question so that basically somebody can complete it as a part of the comment box, and then afterwards when we will release the compilation of all these PYQs, right, over there we can enlist it and there you can see the answer. But the point is that ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन आया था जहां पर कंपनी एक्स एंड कंपनी वाई के बारे में दिया हुआ था रिगार्डिंग सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ डिपॉजिट, एंड certain facts were written with respect to the denomination value of this company X कि यार कुछ मल्टीप्लायर्स के फॉर्म में होता है ये, एंड समथिंग वाज रिटन अबाउट दिस ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, आई डोंट नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वाज डन. फिर कुछ लोन की वैल्यूज दी थी, अब एक दो और वैल्यूज थी जो मैंने एबीसी दिया हुआ है, बट आई डोंट नो व्हाट वाज दैट वैल्यू. तो उसके बेसिस पे क्वेश्चन आया था. सो सिंस आई डू नॉट नो द क्वेश्चन आई कैन नॉट गिव यू द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, so please make sure that you are writing in the comment box that what this question was all about, so that basically we can find the answer and we can let you know, right? ठीक है, आगे चलते हैं. चैट बॉक्स में ठीक है कुछ नहीं है. लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड. Which of the following instrument is classified as money market instrument? तो यार ये तो बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ डिपॉजिट. सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ डिपॉजिट में से दो क्वेश्चन आ गए थे, राइट, एंड आई नो ऑल ऑफ यू हैव मार्क्ड इट करेक्टली. सो सी इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर, राइट. So you can see this was also covered. Now moving on to question number 9. Under the provision of Central GST Act 2017, every electronic e-commerce operator required to collect TCS at taxable supplies on taxable supplies made through its platform is required to furnish a monthly statement of such collection. The above statement relates to which of the following GST returns? अब ये मुश्किल क्वेश्चन था, मैं मानता हूँ मुश्किल क्वेश्चन था. इसका आंसर होगा GSTR 8. ठीक है, although I would say this question was covered as a part of the class. अब देख सकते हो this is something that I had covered, but just because मैंने cover किया था इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि I expect you to remember all these different GST forms. अब यार ये याद करना इतना बड़ा सिलेबस है, अब कितना रट्टा मारोगे. ठीक है, अगर किसी ने याद किया था लकीली तो अच्छी बात है, डिस्कस तो हमने किया था, यू कैन सी इट ओवर हियर. बट नहीं भी याद किया तो व्हाट कैन आई से, बिकॉज दिस क्वेश्चन इटसेल्फ वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. सो यू शुड नॉट इवैल्यूएट योर प्रिपरेशन बेस्ड ऑन सच टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. कुछ होते हैं किसी को एक क्वेश्चन आता है, किसी को कोई दूसरा आ जाता है. ठीक है, तो वेरिएशन हमेशा रहेगी डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द केस टू केस बेसिस. बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इट वाज कवर्ड, राइट, एंड इट वाज अ डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, नो डाउट रिगार्डिंग दैट. ये मुश्किल क्वेश्चन था. ऐसी इन्फॉर्मेशन, ये फॉर्म कौन कितना याद रखोगे आप. ठीक है, बट ये कुछ भी नहीं है. मैं इससे भी मुश्किल क्वेश्चन दिखाता हूं आपको. वैसे तो आपको पता ही होंगे, आप एग्जाम देके आए हो. सो लेट अस सी. सो डी इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज GSTR 8, राइट. आगे चलते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. ना क्वेश्चन नंबर 10 रिगार्डिंग बॉट. तो ये मैंने पूरा क्वेश्चन नहीं लिखा, बट मुझे पता है क्वेश्चन क्या था. द क्वेश्चन वाज अबाउट, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दे आस्क्ड यू 3 टाइप्स ऑफ थिंग्स. दे आस्क्ड यू फुल फॉर्म ऑफ बॉट, राइट, which is build, operate and transfer. Then who has the ownership in case of bot? So in case of bot, the ownership is with the government. The government has the ownership. And who has the usage right? The usage right are going to be with the private party till the concession period, right? And once the concession period is over, then of course it is going to be transferred back to the government, right? So ownership is going to be the government because that is the precise difference between boot and bot, right? In case of boot, what happens? The ownership is transferred to the private party. But when I talk about bot, right? In case of bot, the private party is just going to operate it. It is going to use it, but the ownership is going to be with the government. So that is going to be the explanation for that. And basically, options मैंने यहाँ बनाए नहीं है, but I hope now you know the answer and you know that what you have collected. So this is something again that we had covered as a part of it, right? As a part of the course. आगे चलते हैं. An investor earns a nominal rate of interest of 10% per annum on an investment. If the inflation rate during the same period is 6% per annum, what is the real rate of interest? ठीक है यार, ये तो बड़ा easy सा question है. We know that if I talk about real interest rate, right, it is going to be the difference between what? It is going to be the difference between nominal interest rate minus inflation. ठीक है, बहुत basic सी चीज है ये. तो 10 में से 6 माइनस कर देंगे तो 4% आ जाएगा. मुझे ये नहीं पता कि यहाँ पर यही वैल्यूज थी या नहीं, राइट. वैल्यूज कुछ और भी हो सकती है, बट फॉर्मूला बहुत सीधा साधा लगेगा, राइट. रियल रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इज गोइंग टू बी 4% इन दिस केस. सी इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. अच्छा, somebody is saying 2 questions were asked from what? All right. Okay, numbers are wrong. Numbers are wrong. That's fine. I would say numbers ठीक है. नंबर 12% और 20% दिया था. कोई बोल रहा है हाँ, तो 12 माइनस 20 फिर 8 हो जाएगा. Then the 8% is going to be the correct answer. If 20 and 12 were written, then 8 is going to be the correct answer to this question. But logic आप समझ गए होंगे कि यार what is going to be the approach. Again, this is something that we had covered as a part of the class, right? यहाँ पे हमने cover किया था effect on saving, and this is something that we had provided you as a part of concept notes also, right? So I hope it is clear to you. Very easy question. Now let us move on to the next one, which is question number 12. In banking terminology, short-term credits facilities such as cash credit, overdraft, and bill discounting are generally classified as bank advances. Such advances are typically granted for the period up to. So जब हम bank advances की बात करते हैं, basically they are considered as short-term credit, right? Working capital के लिए requirement होती है, तो advances हम लेते हैं, right? It is considered as short-term credit. अब यही जब basically you are going to add 1 year to that, right? When basically the credit is more than 1 year, then you can call them medium to long-term loans. ठीक है? So 1 year इसमें होगा. So that is something that the question was asking, that in banking terminology, short-term credit facilities such as cash credit, overdraft, bill discounting, generally classified as bank advances. Such advances are granted for period up to what? Up to period of 1 year, right? Because more than 1 year is considered as loan. So I hope it is clear to you. Now let us move on to question number 13th. As per the recent regulations of mutual fund, maximum basic expense ratio that can be charged by the ETFs shall not be dash of the net asset of the scheme, right? Net assets of the scheme. So earlier it was 1%, which was based on total expense ratio, but now the government is getting into basic expense ratio, right? And this is basically 0.9%, right? So C is going to be the correct answer to this question. 0.9% था option में. Somebody is writing yes, 0.9%. Yes, if it was there in the options, it is going to be the answer to this question. 0.9%. Okay. Question number 14th now. Question number 14th. Recently, a Japanese credit agency upgraded India's long-term sovereign credit rating. The agency upgraded India's rating to dash. अब यार ये क्वेश्चन पता नहीं कुछ फेवरेट बन चुका है रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज का. This question was asked in RBI grade B also. राइट और अब ये सभी में पूछ लिया इन्होंने. ठीक है, तो कुछ तो अटैचमेंट है इस क्वेश्चन के साथ, बट वॉट एवर इज द थिंग, बीबीबी प्लस इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन, राइट? अब इसमें कोई समझाने वाला तो है नहीं, तो ये बीबीबी प्लस होगा. ठीक है, जिसने मार्क किया है उसने की पढ़ा होगा, जिससे नहीं पढ़ पाए वो तो उनको छोड़ना पड़ा होगा, राइट? यू कैन नॉट डू गेस वर्क इन दिस केस. सो लेट अस मूव ऑन टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 15. The use of innovative technology to improve, automate, and expand the delivery of financial services to create a digital ecosystem for payments, lending, investment, and insurance is commonly referred to as what? तो ये बहुत ही बेसिक डेफिनेशन थी फिनटेक की. ठीक है, अब मुझे नहीं पता, अब पढ़ने में तो इट साउंड्स बेसिक, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट बेसिकली it depends upon the options also. Sometimes the question is easy, the statement that is given is very easy, but when it comes to the options are tricky. अब ये ऑप्शन तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि होंगे वहां पे, जरूरी नहीं है, क्या पता हो भी इसमें से कुछ, बट क्या पता ऑप्शंस अलग हो, तो वहां पर कंफ्यूजन हो सकती है. बट ओवरऑल इफ यू रीड इट केयरफुली यू कैन रीच द आंसर विच इज फिनटेक. फिनटेक इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. दिस वाज वेरी इजी. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन नंबर 16. एन इंडियन कंपनी प्रोवाइड रेमिटेंस फैसिलिटेशन सर्विसेज टू कस्टमर्स लोकेशन आउटसाइड इंडिया. अब यार ये क्वेश्चन मुझे पूरा कंप्लीट अभी तक नहीं मिला है. ठीक है, तो ये क्वेश्चन जरूर कमेंट बॉक्स में करना. Based on that, we will let you know the answer that whether it is going to be IGST or it is going to be basically CGST plus SGST. अब मुझे नहीं पता वहां ऑप्शन कैसे थे, पूरा कंप्लीट क्वेश्चन क्या था, उसी के बेसिस पे आई कैन टेल यू द आंसर, राइट? अदरवाइज आई विल एंडिंग अप गिविंग यू रॉन्ग आंसर, तो वो बहुत बड़ी गलती हो जाएगी. ठीक है, मैं गलत आंसर नहीं देना चाहता जस्ट बिकॉज इनकम्प्लीट क्वेश्चन है, तो मुझे कूल नहीं बनना है बिल्कुल भी. अगर नहीं पता है क्वेश्चन तो आंसर नहीं बताएंगे आपको, राइट? सो यू कैन राइट इट इन द कमेंट बॉक्स. आफ्टर दैट वी कैन सी द आंसर, वी विल लेट यू नो. So that is the idea. Moving on to question number 17th. Now अब ये क्वेश्चन भी यार इनकम्प्लीट है. ठीक है, सॉरी फॉर दैट, बट दिस क्वेश्चन इज ऑल्सो इनकम्प्लीट. ये बहुत लंबा स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन था. ठीक है, यहाँ पे लंबे स्टेटमेंट्स आए थे जहां तक मुझे सुनने में आया. अब मैं आप ही बताओ मैं कितने स्टूडेंट से बात करके क्वेश्चन कंफर्म करूं. ठीक है, तो मैंने पूछा, कोई बोल रहा है लिमिट पूछी थी, कोई बजट से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन को बता रहे कनेक्ट करके. आई डोंट नो व्हाट वाज द एग्जैक्ट क्वेश्चन. तो ये 3-4 क्वेश्चन है ना, ये प्लीज यहाँ पर लिख देना. ठीक है, जस्ट राइट इट एज अ पार्ट ऑफ, आई वुड से, the comment box so that we can let you know the answer, because we don't have clarity regarding this question, because the reason is that this question was very lengthy और इसीलिए पेपर भी बहुत लंबा आया था. ठीक है, नो डाउट कि पेपर कुछ कंपोनेंट्स ऐसे थे जो ज्यादा टफ थे, राइट, बट दे वर अनकन्वेंशनल. बट द पॉइंट इज दैट द पेपर वाज लेंथी ऑल्सो. जो टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट होते हैं एग्जाम में, उस हिसाब में प्रेशर में डील करना इन क्वेश्चन के साथ बहुत चैलेंजिंग होता है. सो दैट इज वाई वी आर नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग द आंसर रिगार्डिंग दिस. अब ये क्वेश्चन था सेम, इसका भी यही हाल है. ठीक है, ये कुछ इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन आया था कि यार आई वुड से दे आर गिवन यू डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ सेट्स. सो फॉर एग्जांपल दे आर प्रोवाइडेड कि यार आरबीआई का ये वाला फंक्शन होता है, दिस एक्सवाइजेड फंक्शन फॉर एग्जांपल रिगार्डिंग एनबीएफसी, तो ये कौन से एक्ट के अंदर कवर है. देन सेकंड वन वाज गिवन, ये कौन से एक्ट के अंदर कवर है. फिर कुछ ऐसा पूछा था कि इनमें से कौन से ऑप्शंस करेक्ट है. नाउ अब मुझे ये नहीं पता कि यहाँ पर प्रिसाइजली क्या पूछा हुआ था. आई वाज नॉट एबल टू कलेक्ट द इन्फॉर्मेशन बिकॉज इतना टाइम नहीं था मेरे पास. बट अगेन try to write it in the comment box so that we can look into it and we can let you know the answer. So I hope it is clear. Now moving on to question number 19th. All right. So an assessing officer passes an order under the Income Tax Act 1961. Subsequently, he notices a mistake apparent from the record and seeks to amend or correct the order. Under which of the following sections of the Company Act 1961 can the assessing officer rectify such a mistake? ठीक है, तो इसका जो आंसर होगा वो सीधी सी बात है सेक्शन 154 होगा. अब जस्ट बिकॉज मैं बोल रहा हूँ सीधी सी बात है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि क्वेश्चन डुएबल था. दिस वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, ये तो मैं बोलूंगा कि मेरे जो सीए वाले दोस्त हैं उनको भी नहीं आता था, राइट. तो ये मैं एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करता कि आप इसका आंसर दोगे. कोई बहुत ही लकी होगा, कहीं पर पढ़ लिया होगा, चलते चलते किसी न्यूज़पेपर में पढ़ लिया हो. सो दैट इज सेपरेट थिंग. बट दिस वाज अ डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, दिस वाज नॉट एन इजी क्वेश्चन एट ऑल. तो सबसे बड़ी गलती आप इसके साथ ये कर सकते हो कि अगर आप यहाँ पर गेस वर्क करोगे, ऐसे क्वेश्चन के साथ गेस वर्क कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. डोंट डू गेस वर्क विद सच टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. इफ यू हैव मोर देन 70% श्योरिटी देन ओनली गो विद इट, कि आपने कहीं पहले पढ़ा हो. अदरवाइज यू कैन सेफली लीव इट, बिकॉज ये आपका नेगेटिव मार्किंग अननेसेसरली बढ़ा के आपको कंपटीशन में थोड़ा नीचे ला देते हैं ऐसे क्वेश्चंस. ठीक है, तो अननेसेसरली रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहिए. बट सेक्शन 154 इसका आंसर होगा, राइट. सो सी इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर. क्वेश्चन नंबर 20. Under the provisions of the Income Tax Act 1961, a person fails to comply with the requirement relating to the quoting or authentication of PAN in prescribed transactions. Under which of the following section is the penalty for such failure imposed? ये तो बहुत मजाक वाला क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, मजाक वाला इसलिए बिकॉज आई कैन नेवर एक्सपेक्ट अ स्टूडेंट टू आंसर सच क्वेश्चन, राइट. सबसे पहली बात ये कि आप इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में से क्वेश्चन निकाल के पूछ रहे हो, राइट. ये पहली चीज है जो कि एक बहुत बड़ा एक्ट है. ठीक है, आपने पूछ लिया क्वेश्चन. दूसरी चीज ये पेनल्टी पूछ रहे हो वहां से, राइट, जो कि स्टूडेंट्स सबसे ज्यादा इग्नोर करके आते हैं कि यार पेनल्टी फाइन से इतना पूछा नहीं जाता एग्जाम में. सो बेसिकली वी कैन कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद दैट पार्ट, राइट. सो आई वुड से आप क्या कर सकते हैं, पूछा था तो यू हैड टू आंसर इट. बट मुझे पता है कि नहीं दिया होगा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स ने. बट इसका आंसर होगा 272B. ठीक है, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. आगे चलते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 21. दिस वाज वेरी बेसिक क्वेश्चन. ये तो 10th-12th में पढ़ते हो आप, द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द maximum value and the minimum value, and the answer is going to be range, right. So that is all about finance. Now Kritika ma'am is going to join the session and she is going to deal with the economics portion. So the overall analysis is that basically company law was doable, no doubt. I won't hesitate to say that it was highly doable. But if I talk about this finance, so many tricky questions, unconventional questions were there that I don't expect students to mark correctly, right. So that is it from my end. Now Kritika ma'am is going to join and she is basically going to proceed with economics class, right. So just wait for 10 seconds.
Hello everyone. So now we are going to start with the economics analysis. Okay, so I hope first of all that I'm clearly audible and the screen is visible. And let's start with the analysis for your economics part. And this was the part which I can say, other than finance, this was the part that was very unconventional this time. Lengthy questions have come, not only lengthy but very tricky questions where multiple statements were given. Numericals have come that were quite difficult on the difficult lines. So let's start with the discussion for your economics. Okay, and start with the first question. But first of all, give me a thumbs up. I hope everything is fine. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible. And we are going to start with the discussion for the first question. Okay, so let's get started. And okay, so the first question is in front of you, and this remember that the questions that we have are the memory based questions. So I tried to find as much similar statements as I could. I talked to a lot of the students, but you can understand that the statements were very, very lengthy, or the statement, there were multiple statements. So even the students were not able to recall all the statements. So this is the question. Voice issue. Everything is fine. Just tell me if I'm clearly audible. Okay. Then we can start with our first question. Okay, so we are starting with our first question. All right, okay. Okay, then which of the following statements is or are correct in regards to the monopolistic competition? So the four statements were given, and there is only one seller, significant barriers to entry. So this is regarding monopoly, not monopolistic. Okay, so one seller is in monopoly. Firms are price takers due to homogeneous products and perfect information. This is present in the perfect competition. Homogeneous products and perfect competition, this is present in the perfect competition. Few firms that are interdependent, oligopoly. Large number of firms which sell differentiated products, so this is monopolistic competition, and that's why the answer will be 4 only. That's why the answer will be 4 only. Okay. Okay, I can see that the voice is like clear, and just close the session and join again if there is someone who is facing any audio issue, because right now when I am hearing to the video, the audio is clear to me. Just exit the session and join again. So here the answer would be 4 only, that is the D would be the answer. And this was a question that was directly, this was a doable question if the statements were like this. If the questions were like this, then it was a doable question. Okay, but multiple statements have come, so this makes the questions a little difficult. So here you can see monopolistic competition, always the features of the competition or the market structure, they are important. So the large number of buyers and sellers, differentiated goods, they are the characteristic of the monopolistic competition. Okay, now coming to the second question, again this was a difficult question because the numerical was not direct. It was indirect, we can say, or it was a complicated numerical. Money multiplier, I hope that all of you know the formula of the money multiplier, 1 plus k plus r. This is the formula of money multiplier. But the problem here is that, okay, the r is given, that is the reserve ratio is given 12%. So the reserve ratio is 12%, that is 0.12. But what about the k? K is what? K is currency to deposit ratio. So here currency in circulation is given and the demand deposits are given. So if you put the values, currency is 500 and the deposits are 1100. So here 0.45. So K is 0.45, 1 plus 0.45. So here the answer would have been 45 divided by 0.57. The answer would have been 2.54. Okay, this would have been the answer. But excess reserves, this makes the things more confusing because this is given. So many of you might have got confused that where to use this data and such. So this is given just to confuse you. Actually, you do not have to use this data in the question. Okay, so 0.54 is the answer. And I talked to the students and they said that yes, in the option 2.54 was given. So this is the answer according to me if the data is same. Because I tried to talk to a lot of the students and they said that this is the data. So if the data is this, then the answer would be 2.54 directly. I have shown you that money multiplier is 1 plus k plus r, and the k is nothing else. It is the currency to deposit ratio that we have discussed again and again, that currency to deposit ratio. So currency is given, deposits are given. So that is what you had to use. Here the tricky part is the excess reserves that you didn't need to use in the question. Even if you use it, then also the answer would not change. Okay. So this is the answer again. Here you can see in the session itself, we discussed that K is your currency deposit ratio. So currency to deposit ratio is the K. The reserve ratio was directly given. The reserve ratio was directly given. So that was the good part. At least it was directly given. So the money multiplier is K plus 1, K plus R. K plus 1 divided by K plus R. Okay, so this was the question. Now coming to the next question, again very difficult question. I would say this is difficult not because of the statements that are given, because of the length of the question. In the examination, when you are already very pressurized, then such kind of questions make it very difficult to answer correctly. Okay, but let's see the statements. If there is some other statement that you are able to remember, then do write down in the comment section below so that I can correct the question if there is any mistake. So the demand curve, now you have to find the correct statements. Demand curve for a normal good is downward sloping. So yes, from left to right. So downward sloping from left to right, indicating that there is an inverse relationship between price and the quantity demanded. So this is correct. Under cross elasticity of demand, there are complementary goods and there are substitute goods. We have again and again discussed that complementary goods, they have downward sloping demand curve, while the substitute goods have upward sloping demand curve. Okay, so complementary goods have downward sloping demand curve and substitute goods have upward sloping demand curve. Okay, and we draw it from left to right, left to right. Now in case of inferior goods, here with respect to the income, so the inferior goods with respect to the income demand curve will be downward sloping, because inferior goods, they have negative relationship with the income. So that's why they have a downward sloping demand curve. Okay, they have a downward sloping demand curve. So in the case of inferior goods, with respect of changes in income, the income demand curve slopes downward, not upward. So this would be incorrect. Okay, in the case of normal and luxury goods, because luxury goods are a category of normal goods. So normal goods, luxury goods, necessary goods, essential goods, such kind of goods, they have a positive relationship with the income. Okay, so upward sloping demand curve is there. So here the analysis, like you needed to know about the demand curve, the law of demand, you needed to know about the cross elasticity of demand, the income elasticity of demand and such. And here the first, second and fourth statements are correct. The third one is wrong, and that's why the answer would be C here. Okay, so here you can see that the substitute goods have upward sloping. We have discussed it again and again in the session that complementary goods have a downward sloping demand curve, substitute goods have upward sloping demand curve, normal demand curve is downward sloping. For the income elasticity of demand, we have discussed that for normal goods, for the luxury goods, for the necessary goods, there is upward sloping demand curve. There is upward sloping demand curve, while for the inferior goods there is downward sloping demand curve. There is downward sloping demand curve. So this is the thing that you have to remember. I know that so many of the statements can make it confusing, but this is the idea. Okay, now the next question is currency in hand has an opportunity cost of. So if you are holding the currency, what is the opportunity cost? What is the cost that you are bearing? So the cost that you are bearing, if you are holding the money, you are bearing the cost of not getting the interest, because that is the cost that you are bearing, right? So currency in hand has an opportunity cost. The foregone cost is of interest income. You are foregoing interest income, and this is the idea. Like in the Keynes theory, it is basically said that if the interest rate is high and you are holding the money, then you are losing this interest. So holding the money, if you are holding the money, you are losing the interest that you can earn. Okay, so this is the idea that opportunity cost of holding the money is nothing else. It is the interest rate that you are foregoing. This is the interest rate that you are foregoing. Okay, now coming to the next question. Till now, any question that you remember in economics or the statement that is not correct that you can tell, so that in the later on we can correct it? Chalo, coming to the next question. So here the statements were given, the situations were given actually, and you had to correctly match it. Okay, so in this kind of scenario, there was not one statement, there were multiple statements that were given like this, and you had to match it with expansionary or contractionary policy. So RBI increases the repo rate. If RBI is increasing the repo rate, that means the interest rate is increasing in the economy, or the interest rate can increase in the economy. That will decrease the loans that you are taking, because at higher interest rate you will take less loans. That will decrease the money supply in the economy. So this is contractionary. This is contractionary. Okay, so first is contractionary. Government decreases the taxes. So government is decreasing the taxes, or the government is increasing the spending. This is expansionary. Both of them are expansionary. If the government is decreasing the taxes, it increases the money with you, with the customer or with the people. If the government is increasing its spending, its expenditure, then also the government is flowing more money in the economy. Okay, the government decreases the discretionary spending, or the government is decreasing the spending. So in this case, when the government reduces its expenditure, so that is contractionary. Okay, correct? Yes. So E is the answer here. E is the answer here. So here you can see that we have discussed about expansionary fiscal policy. We have discussed about contractionary fiscal policy, expansionary monetary policy, contractionary monetary policy. So expansionary monetary policy or expansionary fiscal policy is when the taxes are reducing or the expenditure of the government is increasing. The contractionary fiscal policy is when the taxes are increasing or the spending is decreasing by the government. Okay, the expenditure is decreased by the government. So here you had to use your logic, all the information that you have, all the concepts that you have studied, that you had to use it in this question. So this is the idea. So now the types of fiscal policy: expansionary, contractionary, this we have discussed. We have discussed about the monetary policy, contractionary, expansionary and such. So if repo rate is increasing, that is contractionary monetary policy. Coming to the next question, I couldn't get the data regarding this question. So if you remember the data, then you can inform me in the comment section below. If you do not remember the data, then it is fine. The question was in these lines that national income and personal income had to be calculated. Now one of the student told me that if you calculate the national income, there was no requirement of the personal income calculation because the data was not repeating. So if you have calculated the national income, there were like the options were not similar. So if you have calculated the national income, there is no requirement of calculating the personal income. That is what one of the students said. Okay, now how can you calculate the national income? That is the NNP at FC. So NNP at MP is given already. If the NNP at MP is given, you have to convert the market price to factor cost. You have to convert the market price to factor cost. NNP is same. So just convert the market price to factor cost, go from market to factory, that is deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. Deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. Now as per the students, both of the data were given, so you should not have any confusion in this. And if you have calculated the national income, there was no requirement of calculating the personal income because the options were not repeating themselves. So this was the idea. Other than that, if you have the national income, then you can calculate the personal income also. Okay, so this is the idea. This again we have discussed again and again, that how you can convert the factor cost into market price or market price into factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. Chalo, I hope this is clear. Even if you had to calculate personal income, you could have calculated the personal income from the national income, deducting the corporate tax, undistributed profits, or all the data that is given as per the formula. Okay. Now coming to the next question, this is a question that is very generic in nature. Like, I don't know, they have left ISLM model. They have not asked questions from balance of payment chapter. They have not asked question from Keynesian or classical theory, and they have asked a generic question. So they could have asked the question from the syllabus that they have given, but rather than that, they chose to ask a question that is more generic in nature. Okay, so this is a question that of course I was not expecting, and they could have asked the question from the syllabus that students have studied so much, they have put a lot of time in ISLM model, balance of payment, but rather than that, this was the question that was asked. Now again, here if you know English terminologies like the lagging, leading means that these are the factors that are happening before the other factors. So they are the leading factors. Lagging factors, they are the factors that are happening after the other factors. So they are lagging behind. So they are happening after certain conditions. Coincident means that they are happening simultaneously. So I would say that this is a easy question, but if you have like not easy but moderate question, because the statements are lengthy and it is consuming your time, it is out, I won't say it is out of the syllabus, but it is a generic question. Okay, so here as per the like leading indicators are the indicators that tend to change before the overall economic condition changes. So they are the factors that are leading the other activities, or they are the leading factors. Okay, so they are the factors that are happening before the other variable changes. Lagging factors, they are lagging behind. They happen after some condition happens. So they are not happening on the simultaneous basis. They are not happening on the current basis. They are lagging behind. They will be changed in the future. Okay, coincident factors, they are the factors that move in tandem with the economy, indicates the current state of the economic activity. So coincident means they are happening, they are incidental right now, so they are showing the current state. Basic English terminologies, I know that it would have consumed your time. At that time your mind might not be processing so fast that okay, because these are the new terms that many of you might be seeing, okay? But this was a generic question, nothing much theoretical or anything like that. So first and third statements are correct here as per the statements that I've got. The second one is wrong because lagging indicators, they lag behind. They are not happening on the simultaneous basis. They are not happening on the current basis. They lag behind. They will happen in the future, okay? So first and third statements are correct. A is the one. Chalo. Now again, we have discussed that nominal wages, they lag behind the changes in the other factors. So the lagging is something that is related to the rational expectation, adaptive expectation theory. But again, this is a generic question, nothing much related to your theoretical part. Leading economic variables are the variables like your expectations that affect the other activities in the economy. If there are positive expectations for the future, then the other activities will be boosted. If there are negative expectations for the future, they will lead to the downside or downturn. Negative expectations, they lead to downturn. So these are the leading economic variables. Coincident economic variables, like if the GDP output is increasing, your income is increasing, your employment is increasing, so that is coincidental, that happens simultaneously. Lagging behind, these are the variables that lag behind, like the wage rates and such. Now coming to the next question. Okay, lagging का definition correct था, ठीक है. यहाँ पर I didn't know that the definition was correct, that's why this is the question, okay. चलो, government borrowings. Again, this is a question that doesn't make sense. Basically, they have used the English terminologies, and rather than focusing on the concepts, they have just given some terms. This is not something that is discussed in union budget. This is not something that we study in fiscal policy chapter. This is something generic in nature. If you know the idea, or if you know the English words very clearly, if you know the synonyms clearly, that attribute means result and such, then you would have been able to answer this question, or from your basic knowledge you could have been able to answer this question. Otherwise, fiscal policy, or like from the conceptual understanding point of view, the question doesn't stand at all. Government borrowings can be considered what? We are borrowing, that means we are doing the transaction. We are borrowing the money, that means we are doing the transaction. It is a transaction, okay. Surplus or deficit can be considered as, now surplus or deficit, it is not a transaction basically. Neither surplus or deficit, it is not a transaction. What is it? So surplus or deficit, it is calculated through the total receipts of the government and total expenditure. So the surplus or deficit is a result. That is your attribute. That is the attribute. So surplus or deficit, it is a result of the actions of the government. So that's why the surplus or deficit can be considered as attribute. So I don't know if you could have used your basic English understanding, then you could have answered this question. Otherwise, this is a question that is not related to any particular concept. It is more related to English rather than economics, I would say, okay. So E is the answer here. Even record would not be the answer. Event can also not be. Like if you see the definition, English definition of transaction, it involves actual flow of money. Actual flow of money. Event is something that happens or may not involve a transaction. Event is like the announcement of a drought. That drought is going to happen, war is going to happen. So that is an event. Surplus or deficit is not an event, okay. Attribute is a characteristic or result derived from transactions. So attribute is a characteristic, or it is a result from the transactions that the government is doing. So if the government is having the receipts and the expenditure, so whatever is the result, that is the surplus or deficit, it is attribute. So this is more related to English rather than economics, I would say, okay. So borrowing, it involves the actual flow of funds, that's why it is a transaction. Surplus or deficit is this related to the outcome result, so it is a attribute, okay. Now even in balance of payments, we don't discuss about attribute or event and such. This is more of English terminologies, I would say, rather than economics. Now, coming to the next question, this was, I I would not say simple, because in the examination again such kind of questions can create confusion, but it was something that was at least from your syllabus. So consider the following monetary policy tools, identify the correct match. Okay, this I had discussed in the marathon session also. This was given in your summary sheet in your concept notes also. So open market operation, it is indirect in nature, because open market operation, this is the activity that is happening through the market. Demand, supply, it depends upon the banks. Okay, the demand depends upon the banks and such. CRR, SLR, as I've told you, they are direct in nature. CRR, SLR, they are directly affecting the banks. If the CRR, SLR is increased, banks have to maintain more reserves, so banks will be left with less money to lend. So this is direct in nature. Directly it is affecting the banks and the money that the banks can lend out. Repo rate and MSF, repo rate, if the repo rate is increasing, interest rate can increase in the economy, but it takes time. Monetary policy transmission takes time. That's why it is also called indirect tool. And that's why MSF is also called indirect tool, because repo rate, MSF, SDF, they belong to the same corridor. Okay, so OMO is indirect, CRR, SLR are direct, and repo rate, MSF are indirect. Only the CRR and SLR are direct in nature. Okay. Yes, LAF, all the LAF tools, repo rate, MSF, SDF, all the repo rate, all the LAF will be indirect, because the repo rate is indirect. So the other will be also indirect. Okay. So this is something like CRR, SLR, they are direct in nature, because they are directly affecting the banks, they are directly affecting the reserves and the money that the bank can lend out. So if the reserves are increased, banks will have to maintain more reserves, so they will have less money to lend. If the reserves are being reduced, CRR, SLR are being reduced, that means reserves will reduce, bank will have more money to lend. Now repo rate and such kind of operations, they take time to affect the economy, or they might not have the immediate effects. That's why they are indirect instruments. Okay, in the session itself I discussed with you before your phase 2, that before your phase 1 also, that CRR, it is a direct quantitative instrument. CRR, SLR, they are direct in nature, while the repo rate, it is more indirect in nature. Okay, it is behavioral response, it depends upon the banks also. Chalo. Now coming to the next question, again usually in economics the focus was on the width of the syllabus, that okay, from ISLM, from the different topics the questions were picked, but this time the depth of the topics have been focused. There was no question that I could find from ISLM model, there was no question from the Keynesian classical theory and such, there was no question on multiplier, consumption theory, investment theory, from the theories of market structure and such. There was the question in depth. And this is bandwagon effect, snob effect, Veblen effect. That is like a very in-depth question that has been asked from the consumer theory. So if you know about the bandwagon effect, that is like good. Otherwise, this is something that is a very in-depth question that was asked. Bandwagon effect is the situation when like dekha dekhi wali situation, that you are seeing the other people buying some product, so you will also start buying that product. Okay, the demand increases when social trends are towards that product. Okay, so demand increases when there is social trends that are towards that product. Snob effect is when the demand is decreasing because more people purchase it, because the people are snob, some people are snobs, so if they see that other people are buying the product, they would not want to buy the product. Veblen effect is the situation when the price rises for the luxury good, the people as a status symbol, they demand more of that good. So the third statement is wrong. Okay, Veblen effect is the situation when demand for a good increases when the price increases. So first and second statements are correct here. Again, this is a bandwagon effect, snob effect. They are more related to network externalities. They are more related to more in-depth analysis that is usually not required for SEBI. That till now it was not required for SEBI because SEBI focused on the width of the syllabus. Now, instead of focusing on the width of the syllabus in economics, they have gone to depth, like massive depth. This is something that we study in the last years of our masters and such, okay, in depth. So this is a question that was more depth oriented, and this was something that many of you must not have studied. Okay. Yes. So first and second, Veblen goods that we study, Giffen goods that we study, but bandwagon effect, snob effect, income and price substitution effect. These are some things that are discussed in more details when you study in masters and such. Usually for SEBI, these kind of understanding was not required. The Slutsky theorem and such was not required, but this time they have gone a little more in depth, maybe just to like give a out of the box question. So this was one of the out of the box question. So out of the 10 questions that we have seen, 6 questions were directly from your syllabus. Okay, 6 to 7 questions were directly from your syllabus, though they were very lengthy statement based questions. So yes, it would be difficult for many of the students to answer them in the exam like environment. 2 questions were generic English based, leading, lagging. One question was on that, and one question was on the transaction and such. And one question, this is the question bandwagon question, that is directly out of box question. Okay, so this is the analysis for your economics. Okay, so this is it. Now, if you remember any more economics question, because we were able to find only 10 questions from economics. So if you were able to find any more economics question, do comment down below if you remember any. I know that economics questions were very lengthy, so it is difficult for you to remember the questions, but I tried to bring as much questions as near. Like I talked to the students and I tried to find as near questions as I could, and I tried to find the statements that are quite near to the exam like scenario or the exam questions. But remember that these are the memory based questions. Okay, chalo, you will get to know cutoff. So the team will be bringing a video for the cutoff also, so you can see that video for the cutoffs. This is it for the economics. I hope all the very best for your results, as well as relax now. You should not be worried right now, because the exam was tough. This was not in line with the last year's examination. Even 2022, if we compare this type of questions, these type of questions were not in line with the last year. So do not worry if the exam is tough. It is tough for all of you, or all of the students that have given the examination. So do not worry right now, relax. Okay, the cutoff session will be taken by Anchal sir and will be brought out soon. So this is it. Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope you got